I think there's still like an honor and a duty to being selected for the team, especially the American team. I think it's just like we have so much country pride and so much just love for this race, in my opinion. Otherwise guys aren't taking the risk and taking the spot. I don't think if they're not fully in it. And for me, like I think it's the best race of the year every year. So I would be against a 4-year program or even an every other year program. But like I don't know. I don't think that's the way. I like the way it is.
Okay.
Hey, Johnny, you mentioned something, and Zach, you can attest to this. Aren't all contracts up October 1st?
Not all, no.
Okay. Because I thought it was interesting. Like we've seen 0 team announcements, and today's October 6th at the time of this recording, right? And it's just very interesting. I don't know if it's because designations, and there's a lot of moving around this year, with Tomac going over to KTM, Chase going over and to Cowie. And it's just very interesting. Like we've not seen one re-signing press release.
Yeah. A couple departures, but no re-signings.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I asked Tomac on at the press conference, like what does this mean to you being the last race that you're going to do on a Yamaha? And he kind of looked around at his people like, should I answer this? And he paused real big and he's like, this race kind of means a lot, and I'd like to do it again. But he kind of like did the Donald Trump around my question here.
Well, to Zach's point, though, I thought it was pretty cool when at the last SMX round, and he was like, our designation's in trouble after today's race, right? He's like, this race was horrible for Designation's team with Sexton getting beat up and then Deegan going out. And he's like, I love the question. It was like, well, who do you think should be on? He goes, whoever wants to be on. To Zach's point, exactly. If it's not an honor thing and you're not willing to put 100% in, and obviously Tomac's been there so many times, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he was all in, and once you get selected, you start to like talk to those guys, even though you probably didn't before. Or, there's some camaraderie that goes with it. So for him, I'm sure he was like watching the race, like, or at the end of the race, especially Deegan was already out, and then he sees Chase laying there. He's like, it definitely went through his mind at some point during the race, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, then, Zach, maybe if I'm putting you on the spot, dude, do you think that the pride for this race has kind of changed? Because it didn't seem like Sexton or Deegan in the past were super stoked to be part of the team, and maybe that's just from the outside looking in. But
I think it's more of a thing when it's here. It's a lot easier. It's a lot more familiar. There's not so many variables. I think that there's a lot of people with their hand up when it's here. But when it's away, it's a different bear. It's, you got to try to go there and prepare. You got to hope your bike's good. There's a lot of more moving pieces to it. So, for me, I think that's a little bit of a skewed view just because of where it was this year.
Okay.
Hey, Johnny, I know you were walking in the pit trying to get back to the award ceremony, but when you get a moment, look at Tomac's disappointment when he walks out. He looked irate.
Yeah.
And when they came over and shook his hands, I thought he was going to punch Jet right in the face. Like he gave the softest handshake. Now, Hunter, he got a real firm handshake, but when Jet came over, Tomac could all but barely look at him. To Zach's point, that's how disappointed he was. That's how important this race was to him. He was,
he was literally Captain America for sure. You know,
he was livid though, Johnny. Like he came out, there was not one smile on his face the whole time on that podium.
Well, like even Justin Cooper on the podium, one of the MXGP press guys asked him as far as like, what did it mean to fill in for Deegan? And he had like a big, like, it's hard with 33 races to then go do one more, so that's where I kind of see the view where their guys are already ready for a break. And then here's one more to add on to stuff. And Justin Cooper rode his ass off, dude, on Deegan's bike. He was really the only guy to get a good start from the outside. And it was awesome to hear all the US fans, and every time, no matter if they were in 15th or what, just the fans were just going off for Cooper and RJ.
Well, look at the 250s performances across the board. If you think about it, right? You have Jay Coop, who did a great job, but then you look at the other 250 riders as well. And, you got to throw it up to the Aussies. I mean, he was down in the first turn in both races, got his butt up and rode like he stole it. So I thought some of the best performances came out of the 250.
Yeah.
Johnny, the videos you got of Jet, like facing some of the jumps and going over things, that's just next level cool. I mean, that was just, and then why, Johnny, you were there, and Zach, obviously you being one of the best. Why do you think only Jet and Hunter were doubling into that corner, into that right-hander?
I don't know. It looks like rather simple on TV. Obviously, it's not.
Sure.
Those are the best dudes in the world, and they weren't doing it. But I don't know. They were doing it at the national as well. Jet was, at least. I'm not sure about Hunter, but I remember Jet doing it at the national.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it looks pretty not that hard, but like, of course it is. It's
okay.
Sure.
We'll look at it, but I had a question as far as like why guys were taping the axle blocks, and what I actually found out was it just so that they didn't get dirt in the axles, so that when they came back from their sight lap, they could switch the wheel real quick. Right. So that was the answer that I was oblivious to. But where was
it? To your point though, Zacho, I mean, we know it's harder than heck, but those guys made it look like just butter, especially Jet. Yeah. He just drops into that right-hander like his wheels are glued in there. It just was, and I just saw that as a line. Like, it has to be hard if nobody else is trying to emulate it.
So Tomac, I saw him do it a couple times, but he was trying to like make that rut, and the time that I caught him, he blew over it and he killed the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a matter of like, even though he did it, it ended up being slower, where Jet was just able to consistently be able to land. And I saw him multiple laps land in that rut. And because he landed sideways, have his foot pegs fold and have his feet come off the pegs. But he didn't care. He just kept jumping.
It's definitely a techie little deal, but like, I thought more than just him and Hunter would be doing it.
Yeah.
Especially when he popped it in practice. And I was like, okay, we'll definitely see a couple of guys try to do that on Sunday, but didn't see it. And I was like, wow, that must be really technically tough.
One thing that I feel like doesn't get enough attention is, it's all good and fine that Jet does all this stuff, but he does it all really consistently, and it's all really freaking hard. Like, there's another video that Johnny posted, I think, where he's like, after the start, he like doubles down and then like jumps onto that next thing and then off the next roller. And it's like, yeah, that's incredible. But what's more incredible is that he does it 15 laps in a row, has the leg strength to continually do it, it's not easy at all. Like, it's the most advanced skills in the world, and he just does it every lap.
Yeah, this was the craziest.
But that load right there, that G load right there is insane.
Dude, there's literally no lip, and he's literally like bunny hopping 20 feet across the track onto a lip that has literally 12-inch deep ruts in it, and he's getting up and over it. It was insane. Absolutely.
And like insane. I said, it's not only way faster, but it's way harder. Like, you can go down in those holes and not have nearly as much load, and just spikes the heart rate and all that, but he does it no problem. Like, there's something to be said for how actually fit he is as well.
And the other thing that blows my mind is the balance, because then he cases off the top of it on purpose and then doesn't nose pick it on the backside of it. You're like, oh,
that's like a 3-inch do or die death mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the margin of error is so minute. Yeah.
Well, because then the European guys, Geiger and Renault, they were doing this where they were jumping and doubling down in there. And that was actually a massive blind double as well, landing into these, again, 12-inch deep ruts. But I didn't see any American guys do this. They were opting to scrub and then kind of fall into that G and go over it. So I only saw Geiger and Renault actually jump this. So I don't really know what's faster. I'd have to time it. But I want to say Jet's was the fastest for sure. The land and then just bunny hop. And that's why I feel like their suspension is fairly soft to where it's able to have like a good preload like that. Like all year long, their suspension has looked very,
I think the
very
bike's
soft.
incredibly torquey, and I think the bike's stiffer than you think, but they use the torque and the chain tension more than you know.
Because they're always
Well,
down in those low RPMs for that torque and that low end. Brr.
Yeah. It digs
Hey,
the bike
Johnny,
down.
there was a lot of discussion about they brought in some different types of material because they were saying that the track was nothing like what it was during the national, that it became very hard packed. What'd you see in regards to what they brought in? And Zach, as you as a rider, did you think it looked like it would be more enjoyable to ride when you were there or less enjoyable than when you were there?
I love that track. I like the old configuration, like the 2016, 14, 15 configuration
the
way better.
giant jump up
Big
the
ol'.
Yeah,
hill
I
and then
think
the
that's
giant
Iron Man to me.
tabletop
But
down.
being that it's later in the fall, I know this just from the GNCC scene, like it's been very, very dry there. So I think it had more promise to be a little harder. And I think that that's mainly why the conditions were a little different. And we experienced that. I don't think we raced it in October in 2020, but it was like early September, and it was very similar, like harder than what it is normally.
What I saw is they didn't rip it near like they did for the national. Usually, Zach, for you guys, the track is just a mud bog
Yeah.
for your timed qualifying because you guys get like 5 minutes free and then 15 or 10 timed, and then it's just straight into the moto. Here it looked like they watered it, but it was tilled almost like you would see on like a local race. And so it was harder to develop a bunch of ruts and bumps, which honestly I thought was more conducive to better racing because of the amount of time that they put on the track. Because they had 3 hours of free practice on Saturday, and then they did their motos after that. So then there was another 2 hours on the track, and then on Sunday, then you have like a 20-minute warm up, and then you have the 2 30-minute motos for each class, which that is so much time for these riders.
Plus the 125, 65, 85 thing, like
Yeah.
it doesn't make it that much rougher, but it definitely makes a difference. I mean, I think that we could get by with some less ruddy conditions here in the States to start with, but you don't take into consideration like all of the riding that doesn't happen at a national compared to a GP or compared to, designations. And like, I just feel like our best shot at good racing is rutted tracks. I know that's a very unpopular opinion, but there's nothing worse for me than watching like I don't remember what year it was, Hangtown 23, I think, where it was just like follow the leader, no ruts, no bumps.
A speedway.
And I'm all for being able to move around, and I think that this weekend's track was pretty awesome, but I don't think that we can do that in America with one-day nationals. And I think also the way that they've straightened the tracks out here, like if you go back and look at like old High Point compared to now, old Colorado compared to now, those tracks were so much more windy. The speeds were so much more low. The braking zones were heavier, and they got rougher. But now, without ripping them, you just have highways. They're just, Colorado's straight down the hill, straight up the hill, straight down the hill, 90-degree corners. It's not conducive to good rough tracks. And in my opinion, anybody can go wide open. It's when it gets techie is when you see the difference.
It's easy to just have the balls to go fast when there's no bumps, but then you have to have bigger balls to go fast when there is bumps. That's